If you visit India Gate today, you're kept at a distance. You'll see heavy barricades and a constant perimeter of security forces. But before 2003, you could walk right up and touch the stone. It was, and still is, one of the most crowded public spaces in the capital. On any given weekend, over 20,000 people gather there with their families. The reason you can't get close anymore traces back to October of 2002. ACP Pramod Kushwaha was in Kashmir investigating a case when border security showed him a pocket diary recovered from a militant killed in a recent firefight. The pages were filled with messy, chaotic notes, but on the very last page, Kushwaha spotted a single digital detail, a Hotmail email address. When investigators pulled the IP logs for that address, they found it was actively being used, but whoever was logging in wasn't in Kashmir. They were in central Delhi, bouncing between anonymous cyber cafes and never visiting the same location twice. The police were looking at a phantom. Someone was coordinating an operation from inside the capital, using public computers to evade traditional surveillance. To catch them, the special cell had to set a trap. Undercover officers posed as regular customers at internet cafes across the target area, slipping standard 3.5-inch floppy disks into the computer towers. Those disks secretly installed a primitive piece of malware. It acted as a digital tripwire, designed to alert the police the moment specific words were typed into an email. Soon, the system triggered. The police intercepted messages that, on the surface, looked like harmless love letters between a boyfriend and girlfriend, but buried in those romantic paragraphs were real instructions. One of those hidden messages asked the receiver to send regards to Cha-Cha. The intelligence team knew the name. Cha-Cha was the operational alias for Zaki Irwan Lakhvi, the mastermind who had orchestrated the attack on the Indian parliament just a year earlier. The rest of the hidden lexicon came into focus. When the emails asked about a football, they were talking about explosives. When they told operatives to call using a 1, they meant dialing through a United States country code. By hiding their chatter inside mundane text, the cell had created a blind spot. A standard intelligence sweep would have categorized the emails as junk, letting the plot remain undetected. On February 14th, the operation accelerated. A new intercepted email confirmed the exact date for the attack. It read, "The date for the match is fixed. It is the 25th. That was the day of the 2003 Cricket World Cup final. On February 17th, a message from Peshawar arrived. It contained the target location, but the message body wasn't made of words. It was a raw string of decimals, like 0.050 and -7. The special cell sent the numbers to Central Intelligence, Armed Forces Research Labs, and university cryptographers. Nobody could make sense of it. ACP Kushwaha even reached out to a private firm in the United States. They offered to crack the cipher, but they demanded a fee in foreign exchange that would take weeks of government approvals to process. By February 19th, time had practically run out. The strike was 6 days away, operatives were on the ground in Delhi, and the authorities still had no idea where the target was. Intelligence budgets and decryption experts had reached their limit. As long as those numbers remained a mystery, thousands of civilians were walking toward a site the authorities couldn't see. That same afternoon, an unemployed college junior named Vivek Thakur walked into the special cell offices. He came to Delhi looking for work and decided to visit his former senior, ACP Kushwaha. Vivek noticed Kushwaha was stressed, asked to see the problem, and sat down with a pen and paper. He didn't have a background in computer science. He just recognized a pattern his math teacher had shown him in middle school. The terrorists hadn't used military-grade encryption. They had simply assigned a 3-digit decimal to each letter of the alphabet. A was 0.00, B was 0.01, up to J. They shifted the place value and kept counting. Vivek mapped the intercepted numbers onto this basic grid. The decimals translated into letters. INDIAGATX. The target was India Gate. The X at the end was a spelling mistake made by the operative in Pakistan. Specialized agencies had spent days searching for a complex algorithmic breakthrough, never realizing the threat was coordinating through a simple system of middle school arithmetic. The discovery triggered a midnight emergency meeting with the Home Minister. Knowing the scale of the target, the government immediately pivoted to a massive military response. On the morning of February 23rd, the day the emails said the terrorists would be conducting their final reconnaissance, the Indian Army rolled into the plaza. Soldiers in full combat gear took up defensive positions, locking down the entire perimeter. The operatives arrived to map out a soft target, but they found a fortress instead. The sudden, overwhelming show of force caused the cell to abort. By the end of the day, every tracked email account went permanently dead. Those temporary barricades eventually became permanent. They stand today as a reminder of the threat, but also as proof that national security is sometimes saved by persistence, scrappy police work, and a student who paid attention in math class.